Looks like it says we're live. I always like to test this out. Mortals Anonymous, Rebecca, Elijah. Oh, ding, 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 ding. We have Scott and Sydney. Thank you all for joining us. Wow. I love when there's like a rapid fire when I open the door and it's just like bum rush in. It makes me feel loved. I'm sure it makes Carlos feel loved. Thank you all for being here today.
Absolutely.
That was a cool, fun experience, right? All right. With that being said, welcome to the Inner Room with Adam Idea Mind. This is the space where walls fall away, where stories don't just get told; they land, messy, real, and alive. Here, writers open the door to what drives them, what haunts them, and what keeps them going. Every voice has its own scars, its own rhythm, its own sparks, and together we chase the threads that hold us, break us, and connect us all. I am extremely grateful to have the man all the way from Costa Rica that is obsessed with cats to finally join me today in the Inner Room. Carlos, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, this
Always.
is very exciting. I was just thinking about this earlier. Like, I remember seeing your podcast and inviting, I think, Kristen, like, I don't know how many months ago.
You
And
know,
I was like, it would be cool if I could be there one day. So
you
I
said it.
made it.
I never heard it, but we made it happen. So, I love that. And I love that you joined Kristen's because Kristen's was so chaotic because she was late and everything. Oh, that was a great time. I need to get her
Mhm.
back. I love her energy. I'm
Yeah.
hoping she joins
Yeah.
us because she restacked this. So I'm hoping that she's not working like a crazy woman and can participate in you know, the fun here. Kevin, thanks for joining. Well, I always like to take a couple of minutes before we start to kind of go over what the Inner Room is. I kind of created this platform to help expose other writers. I was blown away by Substack and the amount of talent that's on this platform, and just also the amount of amazing humans that's on this platform.
Yeah.
So, the Inner Room to me is really a special place where I get to curate 20 specific questions to my co-hosts that don't just ask about the writing that you write, but also like your life and what brought you here and the stories that are go way beyond the ones that you write. So I'm really, really excited to have you. Um, I do have 20 questions. I like to ask my co-host if they like to get like guess like pick a question, like pick a number, and I'll read that question, or I could just kind of spitfire my own questions, however you want. But you could pick them, or I could just say them.
So they don't feed into
One to
each other.
20. Yeah, 1 to 20, they're all over the place. They're fun. They're fun, I promise. But you could pick a number
Okay.
from 1 to 20 and then we can go, or I could just say whatever you want to do. Ryan, thanks for
Let's
joining.
start with 7.
Ooh, lucky number 7. And it's very fitting that you picked this one because it's like the best opening. It's the best opening one. I ask this question to everybody. Assemblywoman Deborah, thanks for joining. How did you find Substack and what made you stay instead of treating it like just another platform?
Ah, I actually found it. I think it was a little bit of a mix between social media. A lot of YouTubers were talking about follow me on Substack or join what is it, subscribe to my Substack.
Right.
And I always thought about it like a newsletter type of thing. But when I started thinking about I used to write on Instagram. Well, not write on, but I posted my short poems on Instagram. And I started thinking like, I want to write something longer, some long form thing that is not going to be Instagram appropriate and not, or maybe fitting, Instagram fitting, you could say. And I was like, I need to find something else. And I found Substack. I think I also was brainstorming with ChatGPT, and I found it, and I really liked it, and that's how I joined it, basically.
So, do you still utilize Instagram to
I
put
do.
together
Yeah.
short forms? How do you feel like is there a community that also connects with you on Instagram and the short forms that you put there, or do you feel like you get more engagement here on Substack?
There used to be more of it because I started posting on Instagram on 2019, maybe middle 2019 to the beginning of 2020. I was very active there, and there used to be a very strong community. I remember having people even read my poems on Instagram Live, so it was very active. But lately, also maybe because I'm more active on Substack than on Instagram, I posted. I can see some views, but I don't see a lot of engagement. But I'm also not engaging with a lot of people. So
I mean, that's fair, right? Beautifully broken, thanks for joining. It is, everybody's like, "Well, how do you grow on this thing?" And I'm like, I literally think that the only way that you grow is by reading and engaging with other people. Like, it really is a pay it forward type of platform, and I can appreciate that, but I guess all of them are. Like, at the end of the day, if you're not engaging on a very consistent basis on everything, which is again why I have a lot of respect for quote unquote said influencers, that it takes a lot of time and it's a lot of energy that you're constantly putting out there on multiple platforms. So, you know, I on Instagram, it is my life. Like it's a picture of me the first of every month because my documented hair growth, and a lot of pictures of Onyx because he's the cutest thing. And then I utilize the stories just to kind of put like, hey, if you're interested, you can read this,
motherhood.
you know? But yes, motherhood is obviously going to adore the fact that you're here. So she says, "Carlos!"
I
HVR, thanks for joining
MH.
us. MH. Well, again, I love that there is a part of my community that is also very much your community. And that's like to me, that's the cool part about the space is that, you continue to find your people and your residents and stuff. So I'm excited to have
Yeah,
you.
that's something that I find. I think that that's maybe why I keep staying on Substack. That I think that when you find a community that you're like minded, you're like, okay, this is my place, and that's what I like. That I found a lot of people here that I I've come acquainted with that are very like minded, like the same things that I like the cutest at least like cat pictures.
Well, I mean, we'll get into your cat pictures, but
Mhm.
I agree that some part of me kind of
Look at MH.
I know she's but some part of me kind of wishes that it was this easy in real life. I think after 2020, the disconnect to interactions on a daily basis with actual humans was obviously lessened because we were told it was not safe, like to come in contact
Mhm.
with other humans, right? So I don't know what COVID was like down in Costa Rica or up in I don't even know where Costa Rica is compared to me, but I'm going to assume it's down.
It's
um,
down.
yeah, it's got to be down. But I don't know how that was, but I wish like the way that we can just collectively engage with each other in a respectful way, even if we have difference of opinion sometimes on this space, I wish it was, transcended into in real life.
Mhm.
But yes, motherhood said, yes, I adore Carlos, and I'm the president of
Like you
Carlos's
just find
fan
the
club.
kids.
I like you despite the cats. You know, I I am a fan of all animals, even though like I'm always dog forward because I've owned dogs. I have lived with cats, and every PetSmart has always had an adoption like group within the building that has like an adoption center. So a part of my job was to make sure that those cats were always okay. And so there was a lot of cats that I like for like, "Oh, I love you here. Like, I love that you're here. I love that I can play with you here and stuff like that, but I wish you would get home." Like, I have those moments.
Yeah.
Uh, but, I'm not biased. Cats or dogs, any type of animal, I'm a huge fan of. Nobody joined. I love the name, by the way. Douglas, Jonathan, Vincent, thanks for joining. Um, well, that was number 7, and that was just a great introduction to how you got to Substack. You wanna pick another number?
Let's choose 14.
All right. So, like I said earlier, some of these questions are going to come from themes from your post. So, this one is from the post blocked. If you could
Mm,
revisit it today, would anything have changed about how you wrote it? Um, Something you needed to write, or like replaces something that you needed to write, or something that arrived before you were ready? Like, when you like go back to that post, do you feel like you you nailed the message that you were trying to depict there?
that's interesting because sometimes when I'm writing posts like that, that's a sort of a reflection post, like a journal post. Those usually, I try to nail two things when I try to do those posts, right? The first one is my experience that I'm trying to communicate to people that this is something that I went through. And then there's the reflection, that is the part where I'm trying to be like, okay, this is the part that may resonate with other people who have gone through the same. And that type of post, when I'm writing it, I usually have to take a lot of stuff because I'm thinking like, okay, maybe this is not part of this reflection. It could be, um, you know, explored on a different one, getting expanded on a follow up, something like that. So I don't think I would change anything, but I do think that there's a lot of things that I didn't include because I was thinking like, yeah, this subject, it comes to relationships in general, friends, romantic relationships, family. You read my post about family too. All of those posts usually it kind of touches on different parts of a relationship, why we stick together, why we leave someone out, why we close a door, all of that, right? So in this one, I don't think I would change anything. It's just that I know that there was a lot of conversation that came out of it that I was thinking about how there is this perception of love, I think, in modern times,
Mm,
that everyone has their own perception of love and their own meaning of love, that it makes it so difficult. Because I remember with this friend, the one on that uh, post, uh, and I in the post I mentioned how I was in a chat group, and it was three friends, and he would sometimes when he was feeling bad or something, he would be like, "Hey, I love you guys. You're my best friends," and all of that. And that's what makes you think like, how come you tell someone that you love them, and at the same time, that person that you're telling them that you love them tells you, "Hey, don't talk to me this way," or something like that, and you react in a way that makes you lose the person you love. Like that's the type of thing that I'm thinking like for a follow up type of post where I'm like, the word love in modern times, it's so difficult to even trust in a way because everyone uses it according to what it means to me, and it completely kind of misses the point of what it means to you, you know?
mm. Well, I think you touch on a couple of subjects there because I think when you're constantly met with defensiveness, like
Mhm,
it's hard to have actual communication with anybody if they're just gonna constantly feel defensive in a way that they're not really opened to hearing kind of your perspective.
mhm.
The other thing is I do feel like sometimes love is used, like the word like "I love you" or to say love, is kinda used in a weaponized type of way. Like,
Yeah,
"Imma tell you I love you because how can you be mad at me if I love you?"
yeah, yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So, I think you touched on a couple of things that definitely could be follow-up t to blocked, and now I'm even more intrigued on what you would kinda come up with that, like, how you kinda would put that together, but I agree with you, I think my version of
I
love and what I
actually,
think is love is different probably than most.
let me just take a quick look at it because I think I have here. Mm, okay, yeah, I had a. This is something that I had nearly since I joined Substack, where I wanted to take the idea of Roku's basilisk. Are you familiar with that?
Nope, educate me.
Yeah, Roku's basilisk is like a thought experiment. It's something that is used. It's been used for videos. It's been used for a lot of conversations. It's similar to Schrodinger's cat in a way that it's just a thought experiment that you think, okay, if this happened, and the Roku's basilisk is basically about an AI that if I tell you about that AI and the AI kind of comes to exist, and this AI is going to try to control the world. So by you and me thinking about it, we're kind of making it happen, and
Mm,
it's going to be more merciful to us. So it's kind of that type of thought experiment where it's like if we think about it, we make it happen. It might be merciful, but it's also because it's going to be we're making it happen is going to be cruel to a lot of people too. So what's the deal there? So it's kind of like that idea, but it has more of background. And the idea I had is like there's a lot of things that we kind of make happen, and also the idea of a self-fulfilling prophecy, for example, where
mm,
we're like thinking, okay, if this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and I'm thinking love has turned into kind of this thing where a lot of people think about loving in the term of a love story. A lot of people think about loving in the context of their parents' relationship. Think about love in terms of heartbreak poetry. So all of that is like, yeah, I'm going to be heartbroken, So it's like we have this
There's levels to this shit.
vast, yeah. So we kind of want love so much in a way, but at the same time we have this view of love in a way that's so different for everyone that in a way it's like we don't know what type of love we're bringing to someone else's life. You know, is the love that I'm giving you the love that I say when I love a TV show? you know, it's the same thing,
Right.
or is the same type of love of a love story where someone would give everything for the other person?
Like
You
a
know,
Romeo
so
and Juliet type of love. Ah,
yeah,
yeah, it's apparently an adjective that has a multi meanings to it depending on
yeah,
context, right? Hmm. You just kind of made my brain tick a little bit, and I'm like, and now I'm over here like in deep thought, like, well, what is the actual definition of love?
yeah,
Like if I look up the definition of love, like what the fuck would that say? And then is that in alignment with what we as humans contextualize it as? Or again, have we continued to just give it different meanings based off of what we've experienced, right? Because what I kept hearing was manifestation. Like
yeah.
that's the word people utilize a lot when they're thinking and they're spending a lot of time focusing on, like for me, like I'm going to be a successful podcaster. Like I'm just going to keep thinking about it because if I keep thinking about it, it's eventually going to have to come true, right? Well, we'll see, right? But, you know, to me, like manifesting has definitely taken its own way of the world too, because people utilize it in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. Just because I say I'm rich doesn't mean I'm always going to be rich. I don't know. It doesn't mean that tomorrow I'll wake up and have $1 million in my account. Like there's still actively like things you have to do to acquire said goal. So I kept hearing manifestation when you were talking, and then um I might have forgot the second thing, but that's a part of my brain that kind of happens.
That's more time for more questions. It's
Well
fine.
well, motherhood said English doesn't have enough words for love.
I
Like
can talk to you in Spanish if you.
I mean, I don't mind it. I won't know a goddamn thing that you say, but it will probably sound amazing, so I can sit here. You know what you should do that is answer the next question in Spanish, and I'll have to guess what I think you said.
Okay,
That would be a real fun type of thing. So go ahead, pick another number, not 7 or 14, and
let's
let's
do
see if I
four.
know me. All right, 4. Be honest. Do you think your cat posts do so well because they're cute or because people are quietly projecting their own feelings onto them?
I think it's because they're cute, honestly. Oh,
If you
sorry.
said that
In
in
Spanish,
Spanish, I might have gotten it. Go ahead. Say it in Spanish now, though.
in Spanish it would be. Creo que es porque son muy bonitos o muy lindos.
Yeah, so because I know what cute means in Spanish, I would know that that's what you
Ujú.
thought.
Pero si
Boni
dijera que es porque son corrongos, no entenderías.
See, now you lost me. God damn it.
Yeah, because that's more of a Costa Rican type of thing.
Because you didn't say cute, you used a different word.
Corrongo.
What's corongo mean?
Cute, but in Costa Rica.
So there's different levels to Spanish? God,
I
man,
mean,
I knew that because Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and Mexicans speak all different, but I didn't know that
exactly.
Costa Ricans also spoke different. I mean, I obviously, because you have your own island and your own place, so that makes sense.
It's not an island.
Okay, well, I think it's an island because I think
Yeah,
all of that is all like all of those
motherhood spelled it correctly, though.
corongo.
Yeah,
Well, now it's a new word that I can use for cute. So I appreciate you
yeah.
educating me and the rest of us that have joined. Like Sushi and Alexi, thanks for coming. Um, well, I mean, I don't know. I do believe your cat notes do really well because yes, they are cute, but I also think it's consistency. Like I said, I called you out when we got on here because I was like, hey, I didn't see a Tuesday kitty. And then you're like, "I just posted it." And I was like, "Oh, like, I think people expect to see Monday
Yeah,
through Sunday, what cat are you posting?" You know? So it's like anticipation. Like I'm like waiting for it.
I think I may have made anything from 50 to 100 more subscriber with just the kitty post, and I think a lot of it is I think the cuteness factor is very important for sure. The
Well, it's
caption the caption is more like it allows people to come out and make comments. Like if I make a caption about the kitty being thinking about conquering the world, people are going to be, oh yes, something like that, you know. So it kind of makes it so people can just drop something. Still, I make a lot of captions talking about kitties being secretly evil, and I get a lot of comments just being, oh baby. So I still think that them being cute is the first thing.
Well, I mean, most of, if not all your cats that you've posted have been cute. I don't think I've come across a kitty that was like, "Ew, ew." I don't think, have you posted a Sphinx? I
No,
don't think so.
not yet.
Like, well, like that's the
Mhm. Yeah, the one that doesn't even have.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Those are the ones that people would then maybe not feel like it was cute, even though I've met them in person and I think they're amazing, but neither here nor there. Uh,
It's like they have their audience, I'd say.
100%, 100%. Motherhood did say, "I don't understand most Spanish," um, but she did say that you don't understand her Mexican Spanish all the time. And then she said, "Your kitty captions are what keeps me coming back." I think that they definitely add to the levels of it because, like, when you're like, bro thinks he's carbonated drink or something, like, by adding that, it does definitely, I feel like, help with engagement, and I'm usually chuckling or at least liking it because, again, in a world that has become so heavy, why would we not want to look at cute cats? That's
Yeah,
that's an easy release, you know?
and that's the thing. I started feeling, I think maybe burnout by the end, maybe by the end of November, beginning of December. Also, the holidays. It was the first holiday. It was the first Christmas that I didn't spend with my son for a few years because he was with his mom this Christmas. So I just wasn't in the very festive mood. But I started thinking, like, you know what? Something that I want to continue doing is trying to engage with the community. The one thing that takes very little effort, I know that people have told me in the comments, like, "You just made my day," something like that. It's kitty pictures. So I thought I'm going to continue posting this because it makes people happy. It makes me happy. And to your point, it's something that people find some level of levity and humor. And
Yeah.
why not?
Sometimes we need light. Sometimes we need light. We need things that just make us smile or make us feel all
Hmm.
good inside. Just,
Yeah.
I 'cause
The bro things is very funny to me because I think that for people that get the humor is like it's obviously all just a setup, you know, like that's literally me projecting on the cat who's just being a cat.
right,
And
absolutely.
so
Well, I love that you name it though, and, we again,
mhm,
we have come to love it, and if anybody isn't subscribed or following Carlos, you are missing out on epic kitty pictures literally every day. At least one
literally.
day every day. So, I definitely recommend you, give him a follow or subscribe so you can see and experience the joy, like motherhood says. All right, so 4, 7, and 14 have been taken. You get to keep going.
Yeah. Mm, let's do let's do uh 8.
Your writing ranges from tender to absurd. How do you know which voice a piece needs, or do you discover it mid sentence?
Mm, I well, I think that that goes more about me in my real life. I'm very analytical. I'm always thinking, and for anyone who's read my Substack and my post for the moderating the discourse, that's a big part of me where I'm always analyzing language, for example, and I'm always analyzing things. My work for a lot of years was data analysis. talked about doing a series on just like an Excel tutorial, for example, because I love analysis. And I think that for me, a lot of how I choose my voice, it's kind of me trying to find the what it would be like the identity of each piece. For a poem, I want something to be very emotionally revealing. You
Mm,
know, I think I think this is a word that I came up with, or a description that I came up with talking with Ashes, where I was like, I think a lot of my poems are like emotional epiphanies. Something that if I show it to you, you can be like, oh, I know what you mean, even if you've never put it in those words.
right.
Something that you can read it and feel like, oh yeah, I know this feeling. So that's for me, poetry. It's a lot of that. Like, okay, what's the emotion that I'm trying to communicate, and what's something that I feel people will find themselves like
Resonating in?
reflected, yeah,
Yeah.
resonating on that poem. For journals, I try to do a little bit of that, but it's more of a reflection. So I try to reveal a part of myself and what that led me to. And I try to make sure that I'm not being preachy or anything like that, because for me, it's like this is something that I found for myself through this experience.
Mhm.
But I think for me, for almost anyone, when someone comes into your life and is like, this is something you should know, you start like, don't tell me what I should know. So I try to have it to hit that type of balance where I'm like, okay, this is something that happened to me. This is how I think it reveals part of our human nature and how I think other people can see themselves into it as well.
Right.
And for the humor, I try to think just about what makes me laugh, So a lot of things. This is something I was talking with motherhood, because we were talking about the moderating discourse post, and she was like, "I just don't know. I don't think that this makes a lot of sense." And I was like, "There's a lot of humor that links on absurdity. The moment you start making sense of it, it stops being funny."
Yeah. No, that's true. And
So
I think you've carved that lane for that series, so it's like if you weren't being ridiculously absurd, I think people that read it would be like, "Well, won't find it funny then," right? Like,
yeah,
that's what literally adds to the funniness of those posts. Um,
yeah, the fun in that type of post is that this is a lady who's so smart, knows so much about language, is so strict and so formal, and now is in this position of having to moderate a forum where people are just posting this profanity and talking about curse words and that the contrast is what makes it fun.
yeah.
But if I wanted it to be more uh how can you say, like more real, then she just wouldn't do it. And there wouldn't be any fun
That's
into
true.
the interaction. Yeah.
That's true. Um, there's a thought that I wanna get to, but Alexi did say people like us in places like this, we need all hope we could receive. So, I think again, that's more to your cat. But you had said something like, I don't like when people tell me what to do." And I think that there are actually a lot of humans that sometimes like when people just tell them what to do because then it takes them out of having to, 1, decide themselves, or then to have any accountability. So if they make a decision and it happened to be wrong, well, so and so told me to do it. Like, then they're not to blame, right? So I do feel like there are people in this world that are actually like, "No, just tell me what to do." Because if you do and I do everything that you tell me what to do and it doesn't work out, I'm not to blame. You're to blame because you're the one who told me what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, totally. And I've met a lot of people who actually kind of have that mindset, not so much of tell me what to do, but that mindset that you're talking about of blaming it on someone else. And
mhm,
I think now more than ever, we see a lot of people who have a lot of problem trying to have accountability of, okay, this is something that I did, and this is something that is the consequences of my actions. I'm going to blame it on you. I'm going to blame it on someone else. I'm going to blame it on society, whatever. But I think there's levels to it, because I think that when it comes to something that should make you be a reflection. Oh, I
I was like, he sat up for a second. I was like, "Oh, oh, motherhood would love to see him real quick." Alright, but
absolutely.
I didn't mean to distract. Go ahead, keep going.
And what I was talking about is that I think for a lot of people, and for what I want to do, if you think about it, something that I talked about in other posts is I want to try to make people feel good, try to make a positive change in people's life, talk about love, talk about, how to, I don't know, make a positive change in anyone's life. And where I'm going with that is for a lot of people, if you want them to reflect, I don't think reflection is going to be do this because again, they might come back and blame it on Carlos, the guy who posts kitties, said I should do this. That's not the point. I'm not trying to
Right.
tell anyone this is how you should live your life. It's more about I this experience was mine. This is what it made me realize. This is what it might make you make you realize. and um and this is something that maybe you can learn from it. So if it works for you, great. And if it doesn't, then maybe the next one, or maybe one of my kiddies will just make you smile. I don't know.
Well, I mean, okay, so I appreciate you kind of breaking down like your reflective type of journey of how you want that to convey. Obviously, I 100% understand because if not all of my posts, I think all of my posts are reflective. And I try to do it in the same context that you're talking about. Like I want to utilize my life experiences to put language to something and it's usually experiences that I have come out of. So it's not ones that I'm still actively in that I'm trying to navigate. It's ones that I've learned, I've understood from them. And now I'm trying to kind of teach in my own type of way by reflecting back on it, like when this happens, this is kind of how I've worked my way through it in hopes that, yeah, it'll help put language to something for somebody else. And then, somebody else can, if they're actively in that type of space, they feel resonance and comfort from knowing that they're not alone in it, but also
Yeah,
have a bit of guidance of understanding, well, how to navigate it. Cause I kind of just told you without telling you this is what you have to do. I've reflected on it in a way that if you can see the full picture, you'll be able to navigate your own way out of your own stuff, right? So
exactly.
I love that we have that in common, honestly, because I think that's why I like reflective posts again, is to just be able to because I always said everybody's story is important, and if we don't share it, then we don't know how many people we're not helping, right?
And it's interesting because I even see the reception on the comments sometimes when I post something that is more of a reflection. I usually get more engaged comments, you could say, like people who are, oh yeah, I went through something like this, or yeah, this made me think about. So there's a lot of people who actually kind of go through that reflection. Yeah, this reminded me of this, or something like that. Whereas usually, like the moderating the discourse, those usually get even more views sometimes, but the comments are just like short comments about how funny it was, something like that. So I think that there's different ways that you can just make someone else's life a little bit better, but you can see that difference. And okay, the tone for this was what I wanted it to be because people got it something out of it. And yeah, you don't need people reflecting a lot on something talking about the use of fuck or something.
No, what you hope again, what I think you would hope from those pieces are that you brought humor and laughter to somebody's day
Mhm.
as opposed to, writing something that would in a reflective way where you would hope that it would help somebody through in maybe a more kind of serious context. So you're
Yeah,
right. I
but
guess
I did try to inject just a little bit of if possible and if needed, I try to add a little bit of learning if possible because for example the third post was a submission by my 3 cents, and it was very interesting because it was kind of a touching on a philosophical type of thing where it was like what about the people who want to use profanity but also don't want to alienate an audience, like what do we do? And I was like, okay, you know what, this is very interesting. So the post had a lot of humor, but it also took that part of the response that Margaret gives very seriously. Like, okay, this is how I think you should uh, go about it. So
right. And you're right, that is a very interesting way to kinda look at something like, who are you alienating by using so much profanity? And do the person that's using the profanity actually care,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because
I think that that's how I got the idea for that series. I was just thinking about how I don't use profanity a lot, but I like it when it's used correctly. And then I started thinking like, what do I even mean used correctly? Like what is a correct use of profanity? You know? So I started thinking about like what
it's like the seasoning that you just kind of like, you sprinkle it on
exactly.
top. Like, you don't need, like, every other word to say fuck or shit or, like, any
Hmm.
profanity, but, like, if it's just, like, out of nowhere, there's a whole sentence of big intellectual words, and then all of a sudden, this genius starts saying, "Use the word fuck." I think it is just sprinkled in. I think that's just the right amount. It's just a little sprinkle, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And to that point, when profanity is used correctly, it kind of hits more, like that character that hasn't used profanity in a lot of long time, and maybe it's a TV show, and finally says, that they're breaking down. So it communicates a lot of things. Whereas if the character is always using profanity, then it's like, uh, you know.
Right,
So
it
so that
doesn't have the
it's
same
interesting.
effect. You're absolutely right. Well, I at least agree with you. I don't wanna say you're absolutely right, because everybody has opinions, but, I definitely agree with you. Real quick though, Motherhood said that she needed to see Norge, by the way. Um, but also that her new life motto is just gonna be "Carlos made me do it," and, if if that's the case, then that's the case. William, thanks for joining.
I'm going to
Uh
need a lawyer for that.
Right? Kevin, thanks for being with us. I hope you have a great night. He said he had to leave.
Bye, Kevin.
Vamana? Vamana, am I saying your name right? Keys, thanks for joining. But yeah, that whole little bit could definitely, I like philosophical more or less, like, the way to kinda navigate conversations, because of the fact that I think that it allows somebody's mind to really explore endless possibilities, as opposed to 2 plus 2 equals 4. Like, that's an absolute fact, and, like, I don't always like to talk on that type of lane. I like to have more open-minded and random spontaneous crud kind of flooding my brain and making me kind of think a little bit more without feeling like, "Oh, it's wrong," or "It's right," or anything like that. So, I've always had to like philosophical conversations a little bit more.
Yeah, I see that as precisely as okay, this is the part where we philosophize, and this is the part where we kind of bring it back to reality. Like to your point about 2 plus 2 is 4, it's like, yeah, if we can all agree that that's because it's numbers and that's what they mean, like we have 2 and 2, it's 4 finger, that's what it is, then that's a reality that we can agree on. The philosophical part can be like, what if 2 means this and it's just a symbol, it's a character. Okay, we can think about like X and Y and all of that, and we can talk about it. But at some point, we need to bring it back to reality. Is where what I think. The moment you kind of stay on the philosophy is where it makes it harder to start agreeing on things, because it kind of makes it be like, okay, but when is this going to be applicable to my life? you
Right.
know?
Well, no, that's very true. I remember being, younger, and, like, asking, like, my parents, or, like, having a conversation in the car with my family, and just being like, "But who decided that the word car means car? Like, why didn't they just name it pencil? Like, why is it car?" And, like, because nobody really could answer me, they kinda got really annoyed with me for constantly asking, like,
Yeah,
"But who gave this this object the word cup?" Like, somebody had to, like, just say, "That's a cup," and then everybody was else like, "Okay, that's a cup," and now everybody knows that this is a cup. But, like, what the fuck is a cup? Like, that's those are the conversations that I would have, and I would literally drive my family crazy, because 'cause they're like, that's just the way it is," like, and I'm like, "But that doesn't make sense to me. Why are we all just, like, agreeing that this English language is the language that we should know, and these words that I'm saying have all of these meanings, but why? Like, who decided that?" Like,
yeah.
that's my brain.
No, and you're right. I remember having a conversation with my mom where I was like, why do I need to go to school? The person who invented school didn't go to school. And she would be like, but you have to go to school because otherwise you're going to be cleaning the streets or something like that, or picking garbage or something like that. And I was like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who didn't go to school and are successful. And that's the type of philosophical mind that a kid has. But at the same time, with age, you start realizing like, okay, this is why. Okay, hey, this is why. And it's not that it's a bad thing, but it's very unsatisfying when the answer is just kind of just accept it.
Yeah, it is 100% unsatisfying to hear that, and I
Mhm.
love how you're like, with age, and I'm like, I'm over here 36 years old, and I still don't understand any of it. Like, don't I don't get why we all just somehow know that all these words mean these things, you know? Because somebody had to literally create this and make it up and give it all definitions, and we all just, like, we're like, "Yes!" And that's just how it goes. Um, real
Yeah,
quick.
but here's the thing that it could be for to your philosophical questioning. It could be like any word that we choose is going to go through the same type of questioning, right? We
Right.
can choose that we're going to start calling cars apples, and someone is going to be like, "Why are you calling them apples? It doesn't make sense. That looks more like a car."
But we wouldn't know what a car looked like if we never named something a car.
Maybe it's the apple now, and we think like, no, that should be backwards. No, I don't know.
Oh my
Just making
god.
it.
I love this because I love that you play along with it and not, get annoyed that my this is the way my brain has functioned literally what I feel like has been my whole life, and that I found this space that gets it because motherhood said numbers are fake. But Beautifully Broke It said, I do that all the time. Those questions. Yeah, like I'm just like I don't understand. I do understand, but I don't understand. It's more like I guess I wish I could create a word. Why not just leave it like that? Like, I wish I can just be like, "Hey, I made up a word. This is what it means. Everybody start using it." And it just kinda take on a shape of its own.
I mean, just hang out with Kristen. She makes up words all the time.
I'm a tad bit disappointed that I haven't seen her join, but that's okay. She's
Yeah.
always working. Like, the woman always works, and I'm like, "Bro, you have to live too." I shouldn't really be talking. Motherhood said, "Why can't you make up a word? Just do it." I mean, obviously, maybe it'll be maybe me and you should collab on a post that we make up our own words and then talk about what they mean and see if any of those words catch on fire. Because I would
I
love.
mean, I remember the post for Christmas was very had a lot of views. So I remember that one where I talk about bringing Kristen to the party and
I
looking for a cat. And
I know, I loved it. I love your contribution to that. Which, honestly, you haven't picked any number from 9 and 11, but I do have questions for you about collaborations. Real quick though, Beautifully
okay,
Broke.
bring them up.
Alright, Beautifully Broke It said, "I love what you said about the person who invented school not going to school. That's so smart." And for a kid to think of it, you already know Carlos is a smart one. So pick a number between 9, 10, or 11.
Uh, let's do 11.
Alright. Do collaborations feel more like conversation, compromise, or surprise?
It depends on the person. Yeah, I would say it depends on the person. Some collaborations, I think some of my very first collaborations felt um, a little bit like too much pull, not much push, or something like that. Like
Yeah.
almost like a struggle. Like, okay, you want to collaborate, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like we're discussing ideas or we're discussing direction or we're discussing like it just like this is my part. Do you do yours next, something like that. So some of those have felt a little bit like, okay, this is just one type of collaboration. Some of them have been very uh conversational type of thing. Like the one I had with Liv, for example. I don't know if you read that one or remember that one. It was very interesting because at that moment I was more known for posting poetry. I didn't post a lot of journals or comedy things. And she was like, "But I don't know how to write poetry." And I was like, "Why don't we make that the collaboration? Your character speaks in prose, mine speaks in poetry." And we started talking and talking, and we had the draft, and we would make comments, and it was very collaborative. So
Well, in the way that you would have assumed it would have been, because I think you kinda nailed it. I have had collaborations with people, and while I have enjoyed all of them, there definitely has been some that it's more like, "Alright, you do this, I'm gonna do this, and then we'll just kinda smush it together." So when I did the ones in the den for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I wanted it to kind of feel like everybody was voice was gonna be kinda told in a story, but it still wasn't the conversational style that I would have hoped to be able to have with all you guys, right? 'Cause all you guys did was kinda drop in your part, I put it into the story. I might have responded to you in the chat, but it wasn't like there was a conversation that kept happening about it, right? Like, you provided it, now it's smushed into a thing. So, I like that you called that out because I do think collaboration sometimes, um, should be more of a conversational way of working with somebody and really kind of brainstorming with somebody and truly collabing and merging two selves together, um, which I like all of them. I mean, any opportunity to work with anybody is cool, but I do think I would probably prefer more of a conversational style collab.
it also depends because I always think about analogies, right? And I'm thinking something I do a lot in real life, but I don't do so much in Substack, is think about sports analogies, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of people don't know that, and it's I'm not a sports fan that I follow a team or something like that, but I like sports because I like the sportsmanship of the sport. Like, okay, seeing someone play a sport, any person's play sport at a high level is always amazing. And so, for example, with I think football, soccer for the Americans, and I think football, and I think on how sometimes you may have a player where you're like, yeah, I'm not going to be playing a lot with this person. I just need to give them the ball so they do the magic. And I think that if you're collaborating with someone on that level where you're like, okay, I just told this person the idea, and anything that they throw, I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing, and they kind of inspire you, then that's also great type of collaboration. But
Absolutely, yeah.
sometimes you have someone that it feels more like just passing the ball, and it's like, okay, you know what? I feel very comfortable collaborating with this person. So I think it depends a little bit, but some of those feel like maybe like, okay, yeah, I'm doing this and working around this person. So that
Yeah,
also happens.
I get that. Real quick, because Alexi just made me laugh. Uh, they go, I read in prison and acts should I judge?" I just for some reason, that just made me laugh. But Motherhood said that soccer metaphor is so good. So we Americans said soccer. But it is, I think you just kind of made it really easy to kinda understand a little bit because there are so many players on a soccer field, but not all of them run back and forth, right?
Hmm.
They have certain positions and they all have a reason to be there, and I do kind of agree with that metaphor to be how collaborations work, and at the end of the day, it's all about continuing to build community, and the reason I had some collaboration questions in here is if nobody doesn't know, Carlos's last 3 have been different types of collabs. So you have, Doctor Lunatic Stranger prescriptions, you have 2 in there, but then I saw that, like, you and Bear and Christina and everybody, welcome to poetry. What is that? How do you say that last word? Because I don't wanna mess it up.
The poetry posing,
Okay,
I
it's
think that's how you say.
okay, I was like, I don't know,
Remember, yes, my native language is Spanish, so
I know. I was like, "Imma just go with you because you're in it, though." Um, so I'm
I
really looking
I
forward to that
remember
tier
that
show.
because do you remember this group? I think it's what a hip hop group that with some guys who wore clown makeup. It was the something clown posse. That's like what I remember.
Yeah, that's
I
why that's
forget.
why I was gonna say
Hmm.
posse, and
Hmm.
Motherhood saying posse, so, like, "Posse," like, that's how it was, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're
Yeah,
saying, so that's how you say it. Okay, well, now that makes more sense because you guys are like a posse. Yeah. Posse, I get it.
posse.
Yeah, 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 got it. Now that makes sense because I was like, "Wait, what is this? Posy? Pose? What is this?" But then, yeah, posse makes more sense, but, appa Apparently I write, but not I don't know all the words. Don't judge me, people, don't judge me. But I'm really excited to kinda follow that, publication because, obviously, I'm a big fan of a lot of the people that are part of that, but
Yeah.
because the recent ones that you have on your page are all collaborations, I wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit about, you know, because I said your last 3 posts have all been collaborations. How important are collabs to you creatively?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that that's very organic, very natural. Like the last collaborations I've been part of hasn't been something that I was looking for. For example, those about Doctor Stranger, those were that I was tagged on a post, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to add my part to it. Actually have ones that I haven't responded to, and it's because I have been so I don't know. I haven't been feeling like with a lot of energy, something that we talked about
Yeah.
the earlier, right? So I haven't gone into it, but a lot of those are just something like that. With Verse Age's poetry posse, it's because he comes up with prompts, and sometimes I read the prompt and I'm like, this is something that I can write about. Sometimes it's just like, no, I still that nothing comes to mind.
No, it's not
So,
inspiring me right now, but I do agree. I do believe Bear does a great job at, creating a lot of different types of prompts that can definitely,
mhm.
continue to engagement, and I like seeing that you guys are collabing together, so, I fair point, though. I feel like I don't do as many collabs as I maybe would like to do, if I'm being honest, but then it's also, like, a lot of extra work sometimes.
Yeah,
Especially if, like, you're not on in the same country, or time zones or stuff like that, there's a lot of I speak to a lot of people that are collectively all over the place. I don't really have I don't really think I talk to anybody that's, like, in New York, which kinda blows my mind because I was like, I live in, like, a huge city, and I don't know any other New Yorkers on this platform except for
I
Nora.
remember there was another one. I forgot her name, but I remember one more New Yorker, at least one.
Yeah, but that come on. We don't write in the States since when? Like
No,
what are you
well,
talking
it's
about?
funny because now that you mention it, I do think that if I go to my analytics on Substack, uh, I think most of the people that read me in the US are from California and other states, not so much from New York. So yeah, what's happening with New York?
I don't know. I thought, like, we have, like, the New York bestseller list, like, we have the New York Times, like, we have all these magazines and other things, like, why do we not have writers coming out of New York? Or are they just, like or do all those things exist because other people submit from literally everywhere else? I
Yeah.
don't but I feel very intrigued sometimes and very alone, like, where am I new not that I need it's probably better that way, that all my Substack friends are so far from me, so I'm not constantly distracted on my day-to-day life, but, it is definitely something that I wondered about, like, where are all my New York writers?
Yeah.
So, Motherhood said, "Yeah, I can't think of anyone I know in New York." Yeah, isn't that wild? That's a fun fact we just learned today. I am one of like I said, Nora is from New York, I know that because it's literally in her name,
Mhm.
but I don't really see a lot of people. I met talented songwriter from oh, so you met Alexi met a songwriter from New York. Well, if you guys find New Yorkers, send them my way, you know? But alright, well, let's switch up some lanes before I don't wanna keep you too long, so you let me know we are an acquired taste. That is 100% true. That is 100% true. So, like, I have, like, 2 questions that are more for closing reflection if you want me to kinda go that route, before we say, "Peace out, Cub Scouts." What do you want?
Says what are the options again?
Well, I have, like, two questions that are more for, like, closing reflection questions, but I have, like, one category of a question that I didn't get to, and I kinda wanna act so I kinda have, like, 2 questions I still wanna
Go
ask you.
ahead.
Alright. Well, obviously, on your, um, bio, you first thing you say is always a father. So I have a question that kind of how has being a father reshaped the way you think about love, not romantically, but philosophically?
Yeah, that's very interesting that you ask that because Uh, I think that I've always had a little bit of a father in me, and this is something that I was talking about with someone from work, and we went out, and I was just staying back, and she was asking me like, "Why do you always stay back?" And I was like, "I like to have my eyes on people and make sure that no one stays back." That's basically it, and that's something that kind of goes in my mind where I'm like, I like to protect people, to give it and all that, and now that I have a son, a lot of it is just me thinking like, okay, this is someone that depends on me and someone I'm raising, like literally raising. So it's a lot of responsibility. And I try to think a lot on to your point about love. Am I doing this because I love him, or am I doing this because it's the best for him? Am I doing this? And I have one very old journal post about that. How sometimes you even remember how your parents, maybe your mom, your dad, sometimes told you this is going to hurt me more than you, and you
Mhm.
kind of start to think about, "Oh, okay, this is what they meant," and it's because you know that maybe they need to learn a lesson, and you know that it's going to be painful, but you need to let them kind of go through that pain. So
Right.
all of those things, you start realizing like, okay, this is what love is, and sometimes it is even this. It is sometimes having to correct them, to tell them how they're doing something wrong, to show them the consequences of their actions, all of those things. And I think that at the end of the day, for me, the way I connected back to love is this going to make them a better person? Is it going to make them happier? Is it going to, because I don't want to excuse something that I'm doing using love, and kind of tying back to the beginning of our conversation, where I'm like, I know better than you. No, because he's going to grow into his own person. So I want to be very mindful of, okay, if I'm doing it out of love, I need to be sure that this is something that is going to be better for him, and not just something that I'm using as an excuse for me to tell him to do what I want or what I want him to do, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, one thing I remember very clearly is one time I was washing dishes. And I remember when I was a kid, and my mom would be telling me something like, how she had to wash dishes because we didn't do it or something like that, and see if it wasn't because you didn't do what I asked you, then I would. And I was washing the dishes, and I was like, how come I don't feel the need to tell him to do it himself? And I was like, you know what, it's just because I like doing things for him. And that kind of clicked for me, like, I don't think when you love someone that you try to make them feel bad about them being themselves, you know? Like in the case of a kid, it's like, okay, if I tell you to go and wash dishes, I expect you to do it because it's your responsibility. But I shouldn't make you feel bad that you don't want to do it. Because you're a kid, of course you don't want to. Even an adult doesn't want to do it. So why would you want to do it?
Just suck.
Hmm. So I, in my mind, it's like I'm doing it because I love you. At some point, I think that he should also do it because he sees the value of it. Like, okay, my dad is busy on at work, so I'm going to try to help him. The something like that, and I'm so lucky. That kid is so generous, so appreciative, so affectionate that I'm pretty sure he would do it. So,
Well, I mean, like Mother had said, "You're the best, dad, Carlos," but I would assume he's a lot like that because those are characteristic traits that are within you, and without you maybe even know that you're showing him how to also be those ways by just being you, so I do believe, obviously, children are huge reflections of us. I think animals are huge reflections of us, but
Mhm.
I don't like to compare the 2 because people get really sensitive about it, so I won't, but I think for, like, me, who don't have a kid, I don't have a child, um, I think what have tried to, like, help my sister, like, think about it in a different context because, she does literally everything for my nephew, and he's 14. He's gonna be 15 this year, and I'm like, to the point that sometimes I'm like, "I know that you love him, and I know that you wanna do these things for him, and I know that you don't ever wanna make your son feel however our parents may have made her feel, like, I totally get that, but at some point, like, life lessons, like, life skills are important. Like, so it's not like a
Yeah,
negative to teach your kid how to do laundry. It's not a negative to teach your kid how to wash the dish. It's not a negative to teach your kid how to cook or expect that they do, because at some point in their life, they're going to need to know how to. And because I love them, I want to make sure that they have the skill sets to continue to take care of themselves in the way that they would need to, you know?
yeah, I
So,
think that a lot of that is kind of a reactionary thing that we have as we grow up. That is like this thing that I experienced during my childhood and my teenage years made me feel unloved or rejected or not appreciated or something like that. And sometimes we overcorrect because to your point, I with my son, that was when he was like 5, 6, 7 years old that I was thinking this is why I wash the dishes and don't tell him anything. Right now, he's 11 and he's very tall and he eats so much, like so much. And for real, sometimes where it's late, it's 8, 9 p.m. and he's like, I'm still hungry. And I'm like, I'm not going to get up and do something for you. Go into the refrigerator and see what's there.
right.
I mean, at that age, you can go and do that. And then he still likes to do it because I think he gets a kick out of telling me and me reacting like, come on, again. So he
Right.
gets a
I
kick
have to
out of
feed
that.
you again.
Yeah, I think he feels very proud of that type of reaction. Look how much I eat. But I do think that at some point, again, going back to the love thing, you want them to be their own person. So it's good that you feel like, okay, I can do this. I can cook a meal for you because I love you. It doesn't mean that not doing it means your love just disappears, right? You also need to know how to do it. And even ideally, you can do it for the person who cooks for you too, you know? So,
Right. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think, I can only speak contextually about, like, the dynamic of my household because me and my sister brought our
mhm.
kids together, and I see her relationship with her son, and while they're extremely close because she had him young, sometimes I'm just like, I think you're overextending your love and smothering him in a way that is now holding him back in certain ways of being able to learn how to do on his own. Mind you, I think we both know that my nephew can do these things, but because my sister is just like, "I'll do it," like, he'll take advantage of that. Like, he's just like, "I don't have to do it because she'll do it." So they're being able to kinda communicate it more in a way like teaching your kid how to do basic things like laundry, wash dishes, and feed themselves is a way for them to continue to self-love, right?
Yeah.
And that's a way of taking care of oneself, which is something that should be kinda taught to your child young, and if maybe
Mhm.
taught to me younger, I might have had it sooner, right? Like, my dad did laundry all the time, like, I wasn't allowed to do my laundry. Like, so when I moved out of his house, I had no idea how to do laundry. So now I'm in a new place where I have a washer dryer and I'm like, "Let's figure it out," right? And I don't even know if, like, YouTube was, like, the well, just Google it or just YouTube it, like, at
That's
that
what I
point.
was thinking, that now you can do it with YouTube, but
Right. Like, now I change my own tire to a spare and change my taillights and shit with YouTube, but at that point, I don't think that those platforms had
no.
been that way. So for me, it was
I
just
think
like,
you can Google it, but it was like a Quora post that yeah.
yeah, it was not gonna help me actually understand how to do my own laundry, so I just kinda had to figure it out, and, I don't hate my dad because of it, because yeah, it was great that he always did my laundry, but then when I was 25 years old, I'm like, "Why do I not know how to do this basic life skill?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's more of, like, a shame on me when I don't need to carry that, that wasn't my shame, I wasn't taught, like, you can't expect me to know something that nobody showed me how to do, you know? So now I'm just more conscientious of, like, well, what can we teach the kid that he.
If you want to get philosophical, one thing that I'm concerned about with my kid is that historically we've been able to teach our kids the world that we live in, and I have no idea what world he's going to live in.
Yeah, I
So I
mean.
don't know how to prepare him for the future at all. And this is something that I talk a lot. Well, I talk regularly with motherhood when we talk about looking for a job, for example. Everything has changed so much in the last few years that when I started looking for a job, when I started my career and all that, he's going to be in a world that's going to be so different that I have no idea how to prepare him for that. So, if you want to get a little bit philosophical,
Well, I
that's
think
something.
so for me, then I think what I would focus on again, if I was a said parent, because again, no parent should listen to me. I'll put that out there. This is a disclaimer. I'm not a parent, but I was a kid. So I think what I would focus more on is again the moral compass. Like, well, what type of human do I want him to be? Do I want him to
Yeah,
be passionate and caring and generous and but also understand boundaries and what he like how to protect his own peace and stuff like that. So then that would be what I kind of taught because maybe I can't show you how to survive whatever world you're going to see when you get to my age, but at least I can give you the toolkit to be a good fucking human, like on it.
yeah, yeah,
Period. Like that's it.
yeah.
So
Like that's the very basics of life, you could say.
listen, but sometimes no shade to parents because I know it's difficult, but sometimes parents, put their traumas onto their children and then, it kind of that's where the generational trauma thing comes into play, right, guys? So that, it's a little bit not done intentionally, but it is definitely something that does negatively impact. So now your views, because your grandparents viewed it this way or your parents viewed it this way, now those views are being passed on to this kid who maybe never would have been that way if somebody was just finally like, you know what? I don't want to put those views on him. Let him fucking figure it out himself. Let him decide what he wants to decide. Let him do whatever the fuck he wants to do that makes him happy. Let him be whatever he's supposed to be. I'm no longer pushing the thread down the line anymore. Like somebody at some point has to look at it and stop it, you know? So, all right, real quick before we wrap up this bitch, because I don't want my phone to die on you guys. Motherhood said, "I'm so guilty of babying my daughter too much." Listen, you have like a little child still. Like and again, this world is scary. So I think there's a part of balance of it and understanding it. No, I'm not judging anybody's parenting. Everybody does the best that they can with what they know and the resources they have. And like I wrote a whole
I'm on
post
this way.
I wrote a whole post that's just like, it is very difficult, to your point, to raise a child in 2026 because of so much of the unknown. So I give all parents in the world tons of kudos for making an attempt at it, because I know it's not easy. Um,
No, it's not.
she said she's like my little princess, and it's so hard for me not to spoil her.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
get it.
I mean, I can totally understand it. Allie writes her life and Monday's wife. Thanks for joining. Parents put you to live. Parents put you to live their life. I don't know that my sometimes when Alexi writes comments, it hurts my head because I'm like I don't know what you meant by that. I'm sorry, my friend. I read them out loud and then I'm like I'm confused. I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, like I said, I give all the kudos in the world to all of the parents of the world right now that are trying to find the balance of educating children without scaring children, with protecting children, but not sheltering them to the point where they don't know what the fuck's going on. So, there is a lot of balancing acts for all parents here, and I definitely there's a reason why I'm not one right now. So,
Yeah,
uh, Beautifully Broken said, I had my hands full with a messy junior Whopper from Burger King, but I just want to say I can relate so much to all of this stuff. I love
that's great.
I literally love that whole comment. Oh.
Love it.
That was perfect. All right, so I'm gonna finish with one, kind of closing reflection, question if you're up for it, and hopefully my phone doesn't die. Like let's go.
Crossing finger.
If you had to describe the kind of life you hope to leave a trace of, what would it be?
The kind of life that I hoped. What
To
is?
leave be If you had to describe the kind of life you hope to leave a trace of, what would it be? Like, what would your legacy be? What do you want it to be?
I kind of think for anyone who's watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, that I would like to be something like the Uncle Iroh, someone who's kind of someone who you can kind of trust, that someone who said things that came out of experience and that sounded wise, like someone that you can be like, okay, I can go to this person for advice, and it's going to be an advice that is going to be coming from good faith, something like that.
I think you're doing a great job playing that role right now. So I'm pretty
Thanks.
sure
Thanks.
that will be the thread that you leave behind. Um, I kind of love that you said that too, because I mean, every time I talk about it a lot. That big reason why I started writing was because I don't have kids, and because I don't want to be the guy that fades away in Coco. Like I don't want someone like nobody to never like remember me or whatever. Like so when the last person that remembers me dies, and then there's nobody that knows me.
Yeah.
Like I don't ever want that to happen. So without having children, there's like nothing to pass down, like to keep my memory alive. So it was more like, well, my words, like if I write a book or I write anything, they're there forever, and they might.
That's another reason why you started at Substack too.
Yeah, so I'm glad that we're aligned in that way because it's just like I wanted to cement a legacy of proof that you can be different and you could look different and you could speak different and you could do all these different things, but you could still have compassion and humanity and lead with honesty, and you can be authentic without carrying the weight of the world on you, and just shine through by lending hands to others. Like it's a beautiful thing to help other people rise, and I'm very happy to kind of be a part of a community that aligns with that, people that understand that, and people also that kind of want to be that way too. So I love that thought sauce. But yeah, that scene in Coco terrifies me.
Hmm.
So I hope anybody who's watched that movie knows exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Well, when that old man skeleton just fucking disappears, I cry every time at the thought of that could be me. And I refuse to let that happen. Like I want people 100 fucking years from now to think, who's out of my damn mind was amazing. This is stuff like I look at the book that she left behind. Like I want that to be a thing. And I love that this space exists to help me kind of get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Monday's wife said, "Where's the cat?" So, we have
Got one here.
dogs. Oh, you have it on your shirt? I love that, and it's a black cat? I love that. Real
Yeah.
quick before we say our goodbyes, and I thank you a million times for doing this with me because I do appreciate the fact that you have taken the time to have a conversation with me. I've appreciated it. Motherhood said, "Can I just say how much it warms my heart that y'all are talking about lessons from my favorite animated show movie?" I like Coco has I can watch that on repeat because there's just so
Yeah, we're
many.
almost done Monday's wife. She's saying goodbye.
I know, 'cause she's, like, in a whole different place on the earth, so she like, you should probably be sleeping, if I'm very honest with you. But, for anybody that doesn't know, The Inner Room with Out of My Damn Mind now exists on other platforms, so a part of this audio will be available tomorrow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Pocket Cast. So if you missed the beginning, you'll be able to catch it there. And yes, we have to go. We've been doing this for like an hour and 15 minutes. Carlos
Yeah.
has a
And you
life.
didn't even see my tattoos. That's kind of what started this invitation.
Well, I mean, we're still live. You could still go for it, my friend.
Yeah. But you wanted to see him, and this is kind of what I got. You see it?
Oh man, you're gonna have to either stand up or move your phone. I didn't realize that you
Yeah.
had them on your arm.
Yeah.
Look at you. Look at you. What is it though? Oh, there's a face down there.
Yeah, this is Alita from Battle Angel Alita. This is Spider Jerusalem. I don't know where I'm moving from a comic named Metropolitan. This is from Rachel Rising. This one. This is
Yeah.
from Sandman. So it's a bunch of comic book panels, basically.
I kinda love that. Are you gonna finish that whole arc?
I'm thinking about it, but I need to figure out because I don't like to just add anything. I want to add something that's meaningful. So, for example, this one is from Berserk, and I even have this one from Spider-Man. This is the very first uh, uh, appearance of Spider-Man, and that one I got because after Stan Lee died, I was like, you know what, I should get something for him. So
I didn't realize that you were such a big comic book person. If I knew that, I would have had some damn questions about that. So now, Carlos, that means you have to come back in a few months, and now I'll have more things to talk to you about. Real quick though, Alexi did ask if that was a deconstruction of Sharknado. I don't know what that is.
Sharknado. Hmm.
Sharknado.
Sharknado is a very, very famous B sort of B movie. It's one of those movies that are very so good it's bad. No, so bad it's good movie. It's kind of
I get it. I get what you mean. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, then maybe one day I'll decide to watch that. Motherhood said, but how do you choose which panels to get tattooed?
Because of what they say, or because of one of those that I have very hidden. It's just because I love the art. Oh, this one, for example, can you see this one? Uh, this
Yeah.
one, this lady. I don't even know where I need to move it. This
There.
lady here.
I was like, she got a
I
movie.
got it. Yeah, but I got it because of two reasons. I really love the art of the artist, who's Jeff Scott Campbell. I think it's the name, or J. Scott Campbell. And that comic is sort of a riff on spy movies and stuff like that. And in that panel, she's supposedly in Costa Rica, and
Oh.
she supposedly just survived a crocodile attack. And so I thought, look, you know what? This is really funny. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
the peanut sort of girl, but the context of the artist that I like, the place where she's in, the moment that passed, all of it, I think is very interesting. So I just got it. So
Well, I mean, I have like a story for every single tattoo that I have, so I love
mhm.
that. Again, like we some people think like there are some people that just go to a tattoo shop, like look at a book and was like, I want that one. I have been present for witnessing that happen, and I'm like, I cannot believe you're doing that. And I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you if you are
No,
one of those. But I for me, like all of the real estate on my body, every nook and cranny of me, there is there's an absolute story behind it that is a fucking gem. That is the reason why I have what I have. Um,
and that's why I also choose comic panels, because they're literally stories as well. Like, you can go and read that story if you want. So
yeah, I mean, I think that that's actually pretty amazing that you do that, honestly. It makes me kinda now think that I want a comic book panel. I wanna
yeah,
be just
you
like
should get at
Carlos,
least one.
so which one?
You should get at least one. I could send you one and see if you like it.
Yeah, I'm totally open to getting a comic book panel now that
Mhm.
that you said that. A mother said, "I love tattoo stories, why people get what they get." Yeah, I mean, obviously, everybody sees this one all the time, and it is, that is not even my most recent one, but it is definitely something that I've always wanted. I've always wanted my throat tattooed, but because of work situations, I wasn't sure if, like, it would be appropriate. So,
Yeah, I waited a lot of years before I got my first one.
yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah, I think I'm more of a symbolic person. I also have a lot of words on me. My dad was just like, "Why do you have to put words on your body? You can literally just write them on a piece of paper and fucking put it up on your wall then." And like, he'd always be like, "Just frame it. Why are you putting it on your body?" Like some people just don't get tattoos, and I'm like, I like them. I like them.
yeah, that's what it is.
All right, guys. Well, you've been in the inner room where the conversations go deep, the connections surprise, and the truths linger long after the world quiets down. Until next time, keep listening inward because that's where the stories that shape us really live. I hope everybody have a beautiful night, and thank you again for joining me and Carlos. Thank you, Carlos, for being here.
Thank you for having me, and I'll
Always.
see you later.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.